All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Funnel Lab. This is Funnel Lab Fridays. I am Doug Bell. I'm a fractional CMO with Chief Outsiders. I'm also a partner. I am joined today by Angela Hill. When Angela Hill is on the show, I think, Angela, this is your fourth Funnel Lab. It is an AI day for us. So, Angela, thanks for coming back.
AI every day.
There we go. Angela and I use AI every single day to help our clients drive growth. So we're pretty familiar with a lot of use cases. Today, we're going to walk you through three. Those three use cases in order are going to be doing a funnel diagnostics. I'm going to be using CaliberMind, folks. I have been with CaliberMind as a fractional for 2 years. It's like getting handed the keys to a Ferrari and being told you get to drive this to work every day. It's amazing. So I get one more opportunity to show you guys just what an amazing platform it is. Highly suggest check it out if you haven't checked it out yet. Then we're going to see something called a blue ocean analysis from Angela. Angela recently taught me how to do blue ocean, so I'm always excited to see her pull it off. It is a competitive analysis. You're going to be using perplexity for this, Angela. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, so we're going to see perplexity in action. By the way, all of this except for CaliberMind, you're going to see us using everyday AI applications to get this stuff done. Then I'm going to walk you guys through how to create a campaign. And this happens. Some of my clients are smaller. They don't have campaign teams. I'm going to show you actually how to take messaging and turn it into a campaign structure. I'm going to show you something called Gamma. I'm going to use Claude to set this up, but I'm going to use Gamma to create what I'll call a campaign brief. But I will tell you, you can use Gamma to actually create social media ads if you're running, say, paid ads. I'll show you a little bit of that. You ready to rumble, Angela? You good? Because I'm going to start us off. Okay, here we go. All right, folks. So I of course, always like to talk about my favorite application. This is an enterprise AI application. We call it a marketing decision engine. This is CaliberMind. And what I'm going to be doing is showing you our funnels product. So we check this in here. And funnels, really what this is it is capturing, if you will, this linear, this idea of a linear funnel. And I think we all know that, especially if you have large enterprise accounts, that linear funnel isn't always what's happening, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, we need an artifact, a way of sort of measuring what's happening with marketing. And so we use funnels. With that in mind, I am in the CaliberMind product right now. So you're seeing sort of the main screen here, and you'll see a slightly distorted funnel, lots of good data about how an account is doing from its first sort of inbound stage all the way through to customer stage. That's what we're looking at. What I want to show off actually is this. So I'm in the progression tab. The progression tab is showing me all that great data I just saw a moment ago, but it's showing that to me over periods of time. So in this case, we're seeing monthly data. And within the product here, we have Ask Cal. And so I'm going to ask Cal to summarize this data, but I'm also going to say, hey, and by the way, this is using the Google Gemini platform. That's our AI agent that's sitting on top of the data. Big fan of this, by the way. If you've got enterprise software and you need to be using AI, this is a great product, great AI agent for that. Okay, so real quick, what I'm going to do is show you guys a simple prompt. Please analyze. Please also tell me where we are having pipeline choke points and what I should do to investigate them. So I'm going to give sort of a light prompt here. I've written some pretty big prompts in the past and gotten some pretty good information. I'm going to give you a simple one because we're trying to get through a fair amount of stuff today. But this was basically saying, take a look at this data set. So a large enterprise organization can have all this data surfaced up in the funnels product. And then what we're going to do is to see what Ask Cal is suggesting for us. So what it's doing is saying here, look, here's the overall observations. It's saying you've got a problem with inbound to MQA. It's effectively sort of showing off some of the things that are going on. But the primary thing it's telling me right now is that, and again, this is a demo data set, so this is not a real company. But what it's effectively saying is you've really got a big bottleneck at this point, MQA, inbound to MQA. And then, hey, guess what? It's giving you some things that I would recommend to any client, really at the end of the day, that was experiencing these things. Check out lead quality, sort of audit your marketing messaging. Look at your lead scoring. In other words, are things actually appropriately making it through? And then, do you have alignment between marketing and sales, right? So this is Ask Cal. This is Ask Cal using Gemini. This is a really good example of what's happening out there. And I think CaliberMind is sort of leading the pack when it comes to business intelligence. But this is an AI prompt that's sitting within your enterprise software. I love this. And I have to say, again, Ferrari for a couple of years now. I'm giving back the keys, Angela. I'm not happy about giving back the keys to this Ferrari because I get to use this with CaliberMind every day. And it's really a wonderful product. So what I'm going to do is stop showing this. That was sort of my quick appetizer. This is not a product you just sign up for. This is actually an enterprise level product. So I would just say if you're really interested in this and you are an enterprise company, please come to the website, CaliberMind.com, and ask for a demo. All right, Angela, are you ready to talk to us about blue ocean analysis?
I am. And apologies in advance. I have a little bit of a cough. My cough loves me, but I don't love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is the season. So Angela, go ahead and hit the present button.
I am.
I'll bring them on stage.
I'm gonna do a whole window. Okay, let's do this.
Okay.
Can you see my screen?
There you go.
All right. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Blue Ocean Strategy is a book that was written about 20 years ago. I cannot believe it's been 20 years already. And what I really love about it is it's this concept of how do you take your brand and your company from a red ocean that's very highly competitive to a blue ocean where it's not competitive and you can gain as much market share and as many clients as you like. So how I use it is I use it to create a competitive canvas map. And what does that mean? What it means is I like to create a document that is a thought starter, a way of discussing how to position my clients for optimal differentiation. What are the attributes that we can legitimately own? How do we use that in our messaging and our marketing? So what I have done is I have developed a prompt. And this is an example of a prompt for when you know your website. You pick 3 of your competitor websites. And then what I do is I take this prompt and I plug it into Perplexity. Now, previously, I only used Perplexity because Perplexity would crawl the web. Now, ChatGPT can also crawl the web. So it's really your AI engine of choice if you want to use Perplexity or ChatGPT. Pick something that can crawl the web because I am feeding the prompt URLs. I'm not telling it in this particular situation what the attributes are. I'm saying, please crawl this website and then tell me what are the attributes that you see. In this scenario, I'm asking it to pick up to 16 of them. And then I want you to tell me why you chose them and what ranking you give them. So then that generates this SWOT analysis. So using Perplexity, it crawled the websites and it said, these are the 16 attributes I think your client can compete on. Could be brand awareness, pricing strategy, technical skills, service offerings, customer service, quality of product. Then I get a ranking attributes. And then I also had to do a SWOT analysis. So a strength was 8, 9, 10. An opportunity is 6 and 7. A neutral is 5. A weakness is 3 and 4. And then a threat is 1. And so then I take that information from this chart and I plug it into a spreadsheet. So I map out my client versus my competitors. I plug in all the numerical attributes for each of the points. And this gives me my competitive canvas map. So in this case, my client is the green line. And that tells me which attributes they can own. So for example, this attribute is service offerings. While it's a negative attribute for the competition, it's a positive attribute for my client. So in our messaging and our language and their marketing materials and their website, I can legitimately own and say, we are stronger because we have better service offerings. And then same with pricing. We have better pricing. And then over here, we had innovative approach. And then we had complex project management. The project management is not complex. So this then gets plugged into the branding analysis and the branding strategy work that I do. But why I say it's a good thought starter and a good conversation point is, yes, I'm using AI to suggest attributes and do ranking and to crawl the web. But then I go back to my client and I say, let's look at all these rankings. Are they correct? Yes or no? Let's look at the ranking for the attributes for what you know about your competitors, what you know about your company. Are they correct? Yes or no? Let's dial in all of this detail. And instead of looking at a blank canvas trying to figure what are 16 ways my company and my client's company can differentiate themselves, we have a thought starter. And so I think this really ties back into this conversation that you and I always have, Doug, which is we don't use AI to do the work that we would normally do. We use it as a thought starter. We use it as a way to move a little bit faster in the process. And then we do the thinking work and we apply and we refine. And then that's where the value of our decades of experience comes in. But because we're using AI, we can accelerate a process that would normally take a lot longer because we might have to do a ton of voice of customer interviews and we'd have to interview a bunch of people at the company. And then we'd have to go do some mystery shopping for the competitors, right? And so what I love about this process is how can we accelerate providing value for our clients, but also do that litmus test with the client to say, is this the right attribute? Yes or no? If not, why? Help me understand your brand better. Is this the right ranking for your company? Yes or no? Oh, it should be higher. Tell me why. And then that's where I get all the golden nuggets that as a marketer, I can plug into messaging for the website. I can plug it into my strategy. I can plug it into my social media and my email marketing. I can plug it into my Google ads. I can use it for SEO, for keyword research. If I'm doing answer engine optimization, these are the frequently asked questions that prospective clients care about. And it just goes on and on. Okay, I'm going to stop there because I could talk about this all day.
Yeah, well, Angela, you taught me to do the blue ocean analysis. So some things I'm going to sort of loop the audience into, and thank you for that, Angela. I'm going to spend a little time here in a couple of minutes on another aspect of what we do, which is campaign delivery. But one of the things that you and I quite often talk about is how do we use AI to set sort of a foundational understanding before we do a lot of our work? And so what you really showed off there was a few things. The first is how useful Perplexity is as a research engine because it is able to scrape, and that is the free version of Perplexity. It'll do that for you, folks, by the way, if you don't want to pay for that. It'll do the scraping for you. That was one thing. The second thing is, at the end of the day, we are all biased. And you heard a huge amount of bias from me out of the gate with CaliberMind. Like, you cannot convince me, even as a 25-year veteran of marketing, that this is not the best thing that I have ever used, right? And I won't repeat that, but just would say that at some point you fall in love with a product, you fall in love with the people, you fall in love with all those things. And this is what AI really in many ways helps us do. It helps us remain objective. The prompt that you showed off though, Angela, that's where all the sort of the magic of your experience, my experience, and by the way, all the marketers listening today, that's where that comes through. And one of the things I want to make sure folks understand here in the half-hour AI Power Hour, I think I got that right, which is really at the end of the day, we can share lots of prompts. I'm going to show you a prompt that I've published, by the way, on Claude. This is a prompt that I created over several iterations. But the whole thing is you can use the prompt, but you really have to have the experience to understand how to manage the prompt all the way through. Blue Ocean Analysis, it is available on Amazon. It is not a great read, but the underlying sort of theory behind it, by the way, is worth reading. I think it's the first 5 or 6 chapters. You sort of get it. The other thing that I mentioned here is that it is a fantastic way to think about positioning and messaging sort of foundationally as you head into those conversations with the clients, because guess what? Perplexity doesn't care and it's objective in its analysis.
Yeah, I agree completely. And to add to your points, I would say historically, companies and clients have hired consultants for that objective third opinion. You know, the first opinion is your own. The second opinion is your partner, someone who's related to you, your friend, someone who works for you. But when you're the CEO of a company, there's no one who can give you a truly objective third opinion that is close to you in your organization or in your life, because they have some vested interest in the choice that you make. So when you hire someone like one of us, a fractional CMO from Chief Outsiders, our primary motivation is to provide that objective third opinion. And when we use a tool like Perplexity or Claude or ChatGPT, also the AI is an objective third opinion. It's going to give you information based on data and what it found most of the time, not based on what it thinks you want to hear.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll share at the end here the most interesting use of AI I've heard recently from somebody who's invested literally hundreds of $1,000,000 into AI. So we'll cap the relative complexity we're sharing with you guys with this really interesting use case. So what I'm showing off right here, folks, this is just an artifact in Claude that we're seeing right now, meaning I've published this. So this is something that you can have access to as well. And what you're seeing here is a prompt that I will admit I got AI to develop for me. It's another really big tip that you and I sort of discovered independently, Angela, which is the best prompt creator quite often is the AI engine you're using. And I've used this a lot, and I'm going to give you two scenarios. Scenario number one is a small organization. There are lots of these in the Bay Area and down in the San Diego area with you. A lot of small companies that are just getting started and need to develop campaigns quickly. The other scenario is lots and lots of campaigns flowing, but guess what? We need a campaign to specifically target an audience. And so what this prompt is doing is it's saying, hey, look, here's what I need you to do. So here are the campaign requirements. One of the things I love creating is what's called a campaign alignment matrix or a messaging alignment matrix. That's just really simple to work with teams where you can sort of go through and be like, oh, gee, this works here and this doesn't. And in this case, what I'm asking it to do is to create a combination of two things, a LinkedIn ad campaign. And so I'm saying, hey, here are some instructions for this. And any sort of ad campaign is going to have very sort of limited copy as an example. But I'm also giving it sort of what I'm looking for in the ad. So in this case, I'm saying, I want you to challenge current conventions of the people we're getting in front of. And then I want you to talk about the brand. I want to talk about brand value. I want you to make brand value points. And then I'm going to end this campaign with a carousel format. And I need 5 sequential panels. And then I'm also saying, hey, tell you what, I'm going to give you some freedom to choose value points. I'm going to load that in, right? And then I'm also going to ask you to create an email sequence. And I'm going to ask you to give me some suggestions from a creative standpoint. And so I have many prompts here that really just depend. Is it a meta campaign? Is there no email campaign? Is there a YouTube campaign? Which, Angela, I'm learning all about YouTube recently, so I wouldn't use my prompt for YouTube yet, but I'm getting there. In other words, in many ways, what I'm showing you folks here is a sort of an Uber prompt that helps me deliver campaigns. But rather than talking about it, let's actually get into showing how this works. Okay. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take us over into, and I'm not going to show you me copying and pasting. That is not exciting. But what I will do is to show you me using Claude. Angela, this is your cue, by the way, as I use Claude. Here we go. So here we are, folks. I do have a subscription to all of the engines. So I'll admit I've got a slightly better version. And all that means is, in this case, I can tell it which version of Claude to use. I also have it built in. So here we go. I can tell it which version here. I can use Sonnet or I can use Opus. I'm going to just plug this all in. Here we go. Fantastic. So I put the prompt in. It also means I can, I sort of train Claude on how I like to write. I love to write, but sometimes I don't have a ton of time. And so, Angela, you ready?
Yep.
Here we go.
Beep, boop, beep, boop, beep.
By the way, Angela,
AI is working noise.
Yeah, this is, and she doesn't realize she's doing it when she does that, by the way. So I'm making fun of Angela a bit here. So, and what we're seeing is an artifact that's being created here on the right-hand side. This is populating way too quickly for us to sort of go through it completely. But what I want to do, and oh, by the way, folks, what I failed to mention is, as a part of this, you're plugging in the messaging for your brand, right? And so what I effectively do is I say, what's the core message? What's the value prop? To the degree it's important for campaigns, typically not. It's usually captured by core message. But then I'm also going and saying, hey, what are the value points I want to push through here? And so you could take the entire set of corporate messaging, and I did this for CaliberMind. Our messaging is everywhere, and I plug that in. And then here what you're seeing is the results of that prompt. Thank you for the beep boops, by the way. So what you're seeing here is what I'm going to check in when I do a creative brief, and I'm going to show you how to use something called Gamma here in a second. And really all this is doing is it's saying, great, thanks for the messaging, Doug, and thanks for the beep boops, Angela. Here's what we're going to suggest. So as an example, in ad number 1, if you recall, it's sort of, we want to challenge convention with this ad. So here we go. That's not aggressive enough for me, but it's not bad. Are you still guessing with marketing data? And then I'm going to use this in Gamma, which is creative direction, visual showing complex disconnected marketing dashboards. And then the tone also for Gamma, challenging but empathetic. That's interesting. I love Claude. Claude can be very creative. So this is the idea. I'm taking a prompt, I'm loading it with either corporate messaging or messaging I brainstorm on with the team. And then what this is doing is, you talked about before, Angela, our time is really, we want to direct it as much as we can at things that are either really strategic that help with growth, or really sort of hands-on that sort of start delivering that growth. And if anybody has been through any type of creative sessions to come up with a campaign, workshops, I mean, this takes a tremendous amount of time, and you could just do the messaging piece and then come back and actually plug this in. Okay, now I'm going to show off something called Gamma. So let me show you folks Gamma real quick. And Angela, Gamma is something that you started using recently. You want to tell us about what Gamma is as I get that loaded up here?
Yeah, so Gamma is a pretty cool piece of software. I was testing out different softwares for AI presentations as think of it like a PowerPoint generator, right? So I tried a bunch, and for the most part, the other ones would organize the text. But then I had to do a lot of work in terms of the images. What Gamma does is I can give it a prompt in terms of text, or I can import a file that I created elsewhere, or I can feed it a website URL, tell it what I'm trying to accomplish, and it will build out a multi-page PowerPoint presentation. It can follow the brand guidelines. I can set up a template for my company, so it has my colors and my logo and my fonts, and it'll beep boop all the way through a multi-page presentation, and it'll suggest images, and then I can even talk to it to refine it, which is amazing.
Well, and we appreciate that final beep boop. Can you please stop doing that, Angela? It's now it's weird. No, I'm kidding. Thanks for that, Angela. But really, at the end of the day, what is it's a perfect description, by the way, Angela. Thank you. And what I've done is I'm sort of in the AI prompt engine portion of Gamma right now, and I have lots of options here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick. By the way, I know some of the Gamma people, amazing culture, amazing people, and that to me is always a great indicator of what you're going to get from a product standpoint. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey, look, I'm going to take a part of that prompt, the results of the prompt from Claude, and I'm going to load this into Gamma, and it's going to create a first, what I'll call a campaign brief for me. In this case, because this client has a really good designer and digital marketing folks, I probably shouldn't develop the whole campaign. They're going to do a better job than I would. But for those of you like on the demand gen side of the business, or if you're in marketing ops and you support demand gen, right, and they need to create things quickly, or your company's super tiny and look, you got to do it all, this is a great place for that. So you can see I've copied the prompt in here. There are a lot of choices in terms of, and you're going to see this real quick, a lot of choices in terms of how it's presenting. But look, here's the messaging. Stop guessing. These are the ads, right? If I wanted to add or subtract or make changes, I would be doing it here. And then I'm going to pick a template. In this case, I have not loaded this client's template in, so I'm just going to pick something cool here. Angela, it's bubblegum. I got to pick bubblegum, right? It says bubblegum. I got to pick it. Yeah.
It looks delicious.
Okay, let's go with it. And then here's the other great thing about it. Look at this. So I have independently A lot of PLG motions out there, folks, when it comes to these different engines. I've used them all. Guess what? I subscribed to Gamma, and now I have access to every one of them without having to pay a subscription to each. In this case, my favorite, I'll have to admit, like I really like, it's already checked off here, Leonardo Phoenix. So here we go. So we have gone from, just to remind people where we are, we started with a prompt. That prompt, I used messaging and value points in that prompt. It's asking me, here we go. Then I took that. I didn't edit it at all, by the way, just presuppose that was fine. But there's an editing cycle that goes through. You're like, this is better. I will iterate, by the way, with Claude, I don't know, up to 10 times to get the right sort of messaging structure. In this case, I took it and I dumped it right into Gamma. And here we have, guess what? These are sort of campaign briefs, if you will. So look, we've got the bubblegum thing. It's actually exactly what you're getting, right? But here's the ads. It's still guessing with marketing data, right? Here we go. Disconnected data. You're not alone. I mean, the metaphor is a little strong, but and so, hey, folks, guess what? This is, and with some manipulation, and again, LinkedIn has its own way of framing. So I would typically take this and put it into Canva next, so that I could take it and manipulate it in a way that I could actually launch a LinkedIn campaign. But what you're seeing is exactly what Gamma would recommend. You're seeing the messaging and you're seeing some of this creative. I have to say, for me, really, this is where AI is showing up and adding a ton of value. It is that, at the end of the day, it's sort of our experience. Because, Angela, I don't know that we would launch this type of campaign, but the point is it has sort of teed us up to be able to launch a campaign. And how much time did I spend on that? Was that 6 minutes, 7 minutes? Maybe, right? So I went from, if you will, sort of this idea of needing a campaign to actually having a campaign brief in less than 6 or 7 minutes. Let's say that we're doing lots of iteration there. You talked about with a blue ocean analysis, you're probably doing a fair amount of investigation with clients once you have that, right? So this is not one and done. But I mean, this is hours, Angela. This is probably 10 hours worth of work.
And what I love is that you can talk to it to refine the image, and you can talk to it to refine the message in Gamma. Like, I use that all the time. I like this image, but I want it to be more XYZ. And it goes beep, boop, beep, boop. Here you go.
Well, and the other thing is, I don't know if you've had this experience as well, Angela, and this is my sort of advice to everybody here. There are designers for a reason, right? So what I will do is I will get caught in these cycles where I am having fights with the graphics engine because at the end of the day, the graphics engines, AI is the smartest 12-year-old you'll ever meet, right? So, but they don't sort of have nuance, if you will. But hey, this is something that you can go from zero to a campaign. Like I have to say, with I don't know, about another 20 minutes in Canva, I could be launching a LinkedIn campaign now.
Yeah. So, or you could export everything, hand it over to your agency or your designer, and say, this is where I'm trying to go, and it's not final. Now use the brand guidelines, now reference previous social posts that we've created. I need you to bring that influence and use that creative to refine what I've given you, but I gave you a head start. Instead of saying, I need 5 posts a week for the month of March.
It is a dramatic shortcut. And Angela, I'm gonna give you a use case here. So I'm not going to mention the name. They wouldn't mind if I did, but a brilliant person, multi-time founder, has a villa in Switzerland, right? That type of person. Want to guess what their favorite use case is? And they've invested quite a bit in AI companies. Their favorite use case is wine pairings with dinner. Oh. Well, and I mentioned that not because this person, I just find it so interesting what the range is and what the capabilities of these different engines are. So we just saw Perplexity crank out a pretty detailed feature level analysis. We saw a combination of Claude and Gamma create a creative brief that looked darn good, right? And then we showed you what can happen when you combine enterprise software with AI agents, in this case, CaliberMind and Gemini-based agent. And finally, I'll throw in here's the half-hour power hour for AI, Angela, wine pairings.
Yum. I can't wait.
Yes. So next time I see you, we'll use Claude and we'll understand what kind of wine we're using to have with our In-N-Out burger. All right. So folks, Angela, thank you for being on the show yet again. I'm going to close things out by saying we have Tracy Earls coming on in a couple weeks. You're going to get our amazing CEO at CaliberMind, Eric Westerkamp. He is going to be hosting. If you have not seen Tracy before, he is brilliant. He has got some amazing thoughts on ROI models. I'm not sure what we're going to talk about. I'm sure it will be brilliant. Tracy Earls was from NetApp and sort of been leading the data science component of NetApp for a really long time. And folks, this is my final Funnel Lab Friday as the host. It has been a privilege working with CaliberMind. Amazing product, amazing people. Angela, thanks for joining me for my final Funnel Lab Friday cast.
Thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Okay, excellent. Are we ready to go out on the beep boop, beep boop?
I think you have to do it this time.
And to all my friends, beep boop, beep boop. All right, everybody, have a great rest of your Friday.
You as well. Happy Beep Boop Day.
Happy Beep Boop Day, everybody. Happy Beep Boop.
Bye.